All right, welcome to the Books, Beards, Booze podcast, where we drink booze, have beards, and talk books. We come to you from the past.
I don't know why that's scary, boo.
I'm Bob of TalesbyBob.com.
And I'm Derek from Soviet Russia, which I can't do an accent, or I would have tried.
As you are hearing this, I am probably, at this very moment, at some point over the course of this Friday, will be in Bardstown, Kentucky, at the Jim Beam Distillery, doing stuff and things. I'm on a road trip. But because of that,
it's a cool tour.
Yeah, me and Derek can't record the podcast. So we're actually recording this a week in the past. But yeah. So,
for someone who doesn't like time travel, Bob, you're
I know. So we're going to do things slightly differently. We're going to stick to the overall outline of every episode,
Not
but
really.
we're going to tweak a few
We're
things.
going to fudge the numbers a little bit.
But first off, let's talk about. First off, this week we're doing a 0 meter diving team,
which I will never remember the name of.
Right, it's
ever.
the story, and it's a story set in Russia, and in part of the story, one of the characters drinks some mango juice. So, in a weird kind of bit of fate, I'm in a social club.
Serendipity.
I'm in a social club called the Plug Uglies Wrecking Crew, and we did a charity little show at a local bar to raise money for Hannah Home, and they had a raffle with a bunch of different prizes, and I won. No shit, I won a bottle of 3 Olives mango vodka. Like, no shit. Like, if that's not fate, I don't know what is. So that's what we're going to be sipping on. Shots of mango vodka with I Have a Screwdriver, and Derek is going to be mixing it with single barrel rye. That won't go poorly for him at all.
I'm a man. I'm 31.
So let's first off, let's start with a shot and a toast. I've looked up some Russian toast I'm going to mispronounce, and this one is Poekli, which means let's get started. Oh, that's not bad.
That's really not.
That's not bad at all.
I'm not much for vodka, so that's...
Yeah, that's actually the first vodka shot I've done in years, because I really got away from vodka pretty hardcore.
I don't know that I've done... Oh, wow. I don't think I've shot vodka since, 2008.
Yeah, it's not good. That's not bad. Just shooting vodka in general is not good. So, normally we do the news and booze section, but because we're in the past, we don't know what the news is today.
Right.
We would hate to miss something. So instead, what we did was earlier in the day, we went to our favorite local restaurant, Pies and Pints, which, besides having really good food, typically kind of your more Italian type fare, hence pies, the pints part is they have something like, I don't know, 40 beers on tap, and they specialize in regional beers. That's kind of their thing. And they're constantly bringing in new things, constantly rotating. Like as they finish a keg, they may have another keg of it, or they may put on something completely new. So every time you go there, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to try something new and exciting. So we went there and decided, you know what, let's drink some beers and talk about them. So,
let me go first because this
did you do 3 or
no,
2?
I did 2.
Did 2? Well, let me go first because I have 3.
Lush.
Keep in mind. Well, technically I only had 2, but I tried. All right, we'll go into that. All right, neither one of us are really beer guys. Like, we like beer. I mean, we'll drink beer, but we're not beer snobs. We're not like craft beer.
No.
We're not craft beer guys. I'm more of a cider guy than a beer guy, really. Like, I've had more fancy ciders than fancy beers at this point.
Like, Derek, what is your favorite beer? Dos Equis. That's about as fancy as I get.
That's your favorite?
I love Dos Equis.
Huh, I would not know. You know what? I'll get a lot of hate for this, I'm sure. I actually
Say
really like a Bud Light Lime.
Oh,
it's not my favorite, but I do really enjoy Bud Light Lime. Actually, kind of my go-to beer outside of PBR and Mick Ultra, depending on if I'm doing low carb or not, is Bud Platinum.
I used to really like that when I was drinking a lot of beer. But like when it comes to like if I have a choice and I'm going like based on flavor, I go with the Dos Equis.
Yeah. Actually, my go-to probably a High Life. I like a High Life. It's a champagne and beers.
I don't know that I've ever had it.
It's a champagne and beers, D. All right. Anyway, so I got there a little before everybody else, and I started off with a Dothan Brewery Folklore. It was the Folklore Grateful Red. It was an amber red ale. And
I like reds.
I do like reds.
Yeah.
It's kind of
like Irish reds.
Irish red. When the brew pub,
the Irish red was
the Irish red was not the brew pub, the rail yard.
Yeah, that was
the Irish red was the only one I actively liked, and they never had it
because it was already people always drink it.
But I'm not huge on like most of the ale. Like I hate an IPA.
Oh yeah,
hate an IPA, and ales for the most part tend to be a little on the bitter side.
Yeah.
And that may be my lack of experience. Again, not a beer guy. I'm sure some actual beer lovers out there are probably cringing as I talk. But like, so
see, Bob, this is why you should have let me go first.
Well, this Folklore Grateful Red, it wasn't an ale. I mostly got it because it was a Dothan beer.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to show some love to Dothan.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I wouldn't buy a 6-pack of it, but that's not because it's a bad beer. It's just it's not the kind of beer I like.
Yeah.
But of the ales I've had from up there at Pies and Pints, it was one of the better ones.
Yeah.
By far. Like if you like ales and like red ales, this was pretty sporty. So, yeah, had a bit of a little bitterness to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my first one.
So this is why I was going to say you should let me go first.
Yeah.
First one I went with was Fairhope beer called I Drink, Therefore I Amber.
Which, if you're going to do a craft beer, and you're not going to do a cool name with it, like preferably pun-based, but give me something, some alliteration, pun-based, something. If you're not bringing your A game...
Which is going to be funny about my second beer.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually my third beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I appreciate the fuck out of that
but
name.
That's what I drank. And so, long story short, I woke up I basically woke up, showered, immediately walked out of my house to go and drink beer with Bob. Super tired, got almost no sleep last night because work ran long and everything. So I'm in a crappy mood. I'm barely awake. I sit down. I order this. I've got my notebook out because I want to take notes about this beer so that I don't forget for when we come and do this. I sit down. I write the name of the beer. I drink it, and then I write. I just realized I have no idea how to describe beer.
Which is fair.
Yeah, no clue.
I think the thing that benefits me is I've done a lot of music reviews over the years.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to make some shit, not make some shit up, but like this is a band that's not really your thing, and you just gotta come up with something to say about it. So I'm not saying lie about it. I'm not trying to imply that at all. But I'm saying like you're doing a review of a show.
You're searching for the thing.
Yeah,
that's
and you're
good.
just like, oh, well, you just like
I liked the beat.
Yeah, as well as Dale's like, oh my god, I love. I came to see this band. I love them, and this other band was there, and I hate. And it's like, music is so different from what I listen to. I don't even know how to describe it. But you learn to muddle through, and I've done enough of that over the years writing music reviews.
But I drink, therefore I amber. Since I don't know how to really describe it, there was honestly, it's an amber. I don't know much about. I don't know if that's supposed to be the same type. To me, it felt like it had the same like aftertaste, bitter as an IPA, which is why I don't like IPA.
Yeah, if I wanted to, I would rather eat a grapefruit peel than drink an IPA. It's the same thing.
Okay, fair enough. But so I since I don't really know how to talk about it or describe it, I just decided that I was going to kind of do this thing where I've got like 3 choices for the beers. It's 1, I would buy it again. 2, I would drink it if someone bought it for me. And 3, I would not drink it.
Yeah.
and this is a 2. Like,
Two.
if someone bought me one, I would drink it.
you're
but
not
it's
going to go out of your way.
It's not my choice.
Okay.
Like, it was... I bought it for myself. I would not buy it for myself again.
Okay.
But it was... I mean, it's not like it... It's not like that...
I didn't try that either. I didn't get a sip of it. I don't think.
And it wasn't that... It wasn't that stuff that we tried years ago that...
yeah.
that stuff that, like...
My brother...
My
older brother worked for Budweiser for a while. In Alabama, this would have been... Oh, God.
2009-ish?
Yeah, about 2009 is when Alabama started getting actual high-gravity beers. And he was bringing home all of them to sample, and they were all awful. We couldn't drink any of them.
No, there was one blueberry one.
The blueberry one was okay, yeah, but the rest were awful. And since then,
that was before you drank beer too.
True, but these were.
No, but like this was.
Oh, these were awful.
There was this one legendary one that we were talking about that was, it. I don't even know how to describe it other than, it tasted horrible and kicked like whiskey.
Yeah. And I don't want beer to kick like whiskey.
I don't even if it tasted good and it kicked like whiskey, fine.
That's kind of why I like Platinum. It's high gravity.
Yeah, that's why I used to like it too.
Beer,
yeah.
I tend to get full before I get drunk.
But that's why I drink beer.
Beer's good to do like an all day drunk, an all day low key maintain a low key day drunk.
Beer for me is when I'm spending 5 hours watching fucking WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Or just trying to have a couple of drinks while I play video games because I'm not trying to get drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first one.
Okay. Well, my second was brewery out of Opelika, which, in spite of it being real close to Auburn, it's a brewery called Red Clay, and I'm liking what they got going on. I had the halftime Hefeweizen, and my favorite beer of all time is Halani Hefeweizen. I forget the brewery's name, but it's called the Halani Hefeweizen. So I like a Hefeweizen. Granted, I've only ever had these two that were made in America, and that's very German, so I've probably not actually had, like, I'm sure there's some beer snob out there like, oh, you've never really had a Hefeweizen. Well, you know what? Go fuck yourself. These are good. The Red Clay Halftime Hefeweizen, good. I would buy that again. Like I would buy a 6-pack of that. You know what? I would buy a 6-pack of that to drink during the Iron Bowl while Alabama is beating Auburn.
Yeah,
beating Auburn.
Yeah, to cry. No, that's right. That's a good point. You would do that for when you were winning because you'd need something stronger if you were losing. That's a good point. Yeah.
Fair. I wouldn't know though.
Really think about the. You know what? We're not getting into this. So, I tried that one. Honestly, I think I might have liked that one the best of all the ones that I drank.
That was a good beer, and it was.
I took a very small.
It was a tall.
Yeah, it was.
Tall glass.
My second one was by the Ghost Train Company, and it's just called Craft Lager.
Which, as I told you then, that's lazy and dumb.
You know, when you said that, I thought you were saying Ghost Train was lazy. And I was like,
no, Ghost Train's cool.
Ghost Train, that's cool. And I literally just now went, oh, he means Craft Lager is a dumb name.
Yeah, Craft Lager is a real dumb name.
Yeah, like lagers, it was okay. I mean, if I was there, I would not. It's the middle one too. Like it's.
You wouldn't go out of your way to pick one up.
No, because as it is, because I also took a sip of Tanya's cider that she had.
Oh yeah, I had that cider. That cider was Red Clay.
Yeah,
I
almost
got
that.
So really Red Clay out of Opelika. I had 2 beers by them, and they were
both good.
Yeah, well, I mean, granted, one was a cider, but it was a good cider.
I love a cider. I mean, that's just the way that is.
Oh yeah.
They didn't have the ones that we had last time.
No, yeah,
I'd have tore that up.
Oh yeah, the Grand Mimosa.
I'd have been way.
Cider Boys makes the best cider.
Yeah.
By far.
But those were the 2 I tried. So.
Last one I want to say, I had Tanya, our biggest fan. She was there with us. She got the Ghost Train Boysenberry Smoothie Sour. Ghost Train.
Oh yeah, I tried that too.
Out of Birmingham. Yeah. It was the most delicious looking beer by far. It was good. I don't know that I definitely couldn't buy a 6-pack of it. Oh god, it was way too fruity, sweet for a beer. It's like I like
what
those.
we would have drank back in high school trying to learn to drink.
Yeah.
We were drinking
Oh,
like
yeah,
those
yeah.
super sweet.
Oh, like Smirnoff Ices and
Yeah.
whatnot. Yeah. No, the closest thing I can think of is like I like the Not Your Father's root beers and stuff like that.
I've had one of those.
I can drink one. I can drink one of those, and then I'm just done. It's too sweet. Like it's at that point, you're just like, oh, Bob, how bad do you want your headache to be later? Like, you want more? Then have another.
Oh, that was
like, and that's what I feel like with that. Really good, really good. The most flavorful of them all. I could not drink
something
more than
to
one.
have with your meal.
Yes, perfect to have with the right kind of meal.
See, that's what I do with cider for the most part. I either have it with a meal because I want something that tastes good, also helps me relax, and go with my food. Or I drink it when I'm just having one or two and I'm just kind of chilling. It's cider if I'm just kind of chilling, beer if I'm going to go for a little bit more, or then whiskey if I'm actually.
My favorite thing to do with cider is to drink it with your brother.
Really?
Yeah, Richard. Yeah. Oh, I nothing I love more than to just have a dick and cider.
Yeah. As soon as you said Richard, I was like, no one calls him that. What the fuck are you babbling about?
I've never had a cider with your brother either.
I mean, look, my brother is my brother. It wouldn't have surprised me that he was like, here, have this cider from the place. With
it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah.
But I've never had a cider. It's been many years since I've drank with your brother.
It's been a while.
Outside of a bar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the news and booze, except for, so Derek, what's the news with Doors of Stone?
There is none.
Except that we don't know. Between now and when they're listening to this, there could be some news.
Bob.
There's not going to be any.
No, seriously. Right here. I will give you $100 if there is a release date that comes out in the next week.
I will be scouring the internet. Oh, Rothfuss, come through for me. All right. So that's our news and booze segment. Normally we dive into our chat from the Eagle and Child where we talk about what we're reading and what we're writing, except it's the future. We don't know what we will have read or written next week. I mean, we can take some educated guesses, but we're not going to do that.
Nah.
Instead, we're going to list our three, not even necessarily the top three things, but 3 things on your to be read.
Let's discuss this real quick.
Okay.
Since in the future, if we ever have to do these podcasts out of order, where like somebody's going to be out of town or something like that, and we have to double up one day when we're recording, like we're doing right now.
Yeah.
This is kind of what we're going to do. We're still going to do a read. We're still going to discuss things.
Yeah.
But the news is going to be much laxer. What we're reading and writing is not going to be there. Instead, we're just going to kind of shoot the breeze. It's a much more laid back kind of podcast because we don't want to get into too in depth into things.
Yeah. We actually, when we started this, our original plan was to pre-record everything like weeks in advance, and it just didn't work well. Partly we hadn't quite discovered what we were really trying to do, but also it's like I just didn't like it as much. And we are now only going to record them ahead of time when we have to.
Yeah. The best part about it is I used to support a podcast called Bite That a wrestling podcast that was going for a few years, and they brought up a really valid point. It was like their favorite thing about doing that podcast for as long as they did was just it gave them an excuse to hang out. They had to hang out with each other once a day so they're like, cool, I get to talk to my friends after my shitty week of work.
Yeah.
So it's just like, so now, although the only difference is we hang out at work.
Yeah, we do. But eventually, God willing, we won't work together anymore.
What are we talking about? We're both going to be authors. What are you talking about?
Right. True. Let's do another shot. The toast on this one is going to be the toast we do on the rest of them. And it's to your health. And it's... Oh, where did... to your health? Yeah, your health. Tavjo Zarovny.
I was unaware of how many we were going to do.
We'll just surprise ourselves.
Okay.
But yeah, so this week we decided on our little bullshit is just talk about like what we're looking forward to reading, our to be read, our TBR. And we kind of said like pick out 3. What's your number? What's one on your list? Not necessarily your number one, but just one on your list.
So one is I got a series of books 2 years ago for Christmas. And it was before I had gotten really, really back into reading.
Yeah.
But it was a book that I was really interested in called The Boy with the Porcelain Blade by Den Patrick. And I read 150 pages of it and then stopped because that's what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, you were in school.
I was in school. There was a lot of stuff going on. It just wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
But the book was fun. It's a shorter book. And I really want to finish it because from what I remember, it's the kind of thing you should definitely read because it's got a very strong Gothic literature.
Okay, I do love me some Gothic literature.
Like it feels like Gothic literature, fantasy, adventure.
Okay,
like it was really good, and I definitely want to finish it. So that's one of the.
Are you going to start it over or?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh no. Because even back then I wasn't paying as close attention to it. And I want to write a review on it when I'm done, and yeah. So that's the first one that I want to read.
My first one that I'm going to read, when I made this list, my number one was something different. I think now it's going to be Paladin of Souls by Louis McMaster Bujold.
That's a hell of a name.
It's a great name.
I didn't say it wasn't. I was just saying.
It's a great name.
You know what it makes me think of? Luz Theron Telamon.
Ooh, yeah. But, alright, so she wrote Curse of Chalion, which I talked about as y'all are hearing this last week. And this is the sequel to it.
Oh, okay.
Which I was under the impression that these books were... And I've been
told...
I've been told... I know. But I was told that these books are... The stories are pretty standalone.
Yeah.
So, Curse... They were like... The person who recommended me is like, oh, you need to read Paladin of Souls and you need to read Curse of Chalion. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, I like this recommendation, you know. And like, oh, well, you should read Curse of Chalion first because it takes place chronologically first, but they're kind of standalone. Well, when you go on Amazon and buy them, it's like, oh, well, here's Chalion 1, Chalion 2, and Chalion 3. Curse of Chalion is 1.
Yeah.
This is 2. Well, this is the one that won all the awards.
Oh, okay.
So if Curse of Chalion was that good and Paladin of Souls won like Hugo's and whatnot, like...
You're excited.
Yeah. I almost bought it today. It was my number 2 on the list, but because I was walking out the door, basically. Okay. But yeah, what's another one on your list?
Oh, the second on my list is a book called Circle at Center by Douglas Niles. I bought this years ago, the same time I got the book that I'm reading now, The Eyes of God. Again, I bought it at a time where I was just coming out of reading like a super long... I think it might have been when I finished reading the Magician stuff.
Yeah.
For a second time, maybe. Anyways, I just got done reading a really long series, and then I started reading some new stuff, and neither of those books really hit me just right, and it was when I was in college for the first time. And I just got sidetracked with other stuff. I was probably reading it around the time I moved in with you guys.
Oh, yeah.
So I just kind of went to the side.
To let you know how living with me was, the day he moved in, he went to go get a second load of stuff. And he had a box of Wheaties, Frosted Mini Wheats. And on his bed, I spelled out, "I will fucking kill you" in Frosted Mini Wheats, and left on his bed for him to come back to.
Which was super exciting since I was really nervous about moving in with him.
Yeah, we didn't really know each other. Like, we knew who we were. We'd been around each other. His best friend was my roommate. One of my roommates. It was a big house.
Yeah.
And so that's how he wound up living with us. But yeah,
so that went well.
It set a tone. That house was fun.
Oh, God, that is home, Bob. That is home. But, so yeah, it's from what I remember of the story, it had something to do with, like, basically pulling warriors from different eras of Earth to a fantasy world.
Hate that.
I know you don't like the fantasy world thing, but I think it's cool because it's the idea of pitting like a knight versus an Aztec warrior. Like, oh, well, this is fun.
That is kind of neat, but
and I learned
that's what I have Age of Empires for.
Well, Oh, I've never played Age of Empires.
It was really good.
So,
I like real-time strategy games.
But
Yes.
the reason I mentioned that is that's where I learned about. I don't even remember how to say it, but it starts with like a Q. It's a weapon that the
the Aztecs used with the obsidian.
Super cool.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. So, Tigana by Guy Gavriel K. I want to read this real bad. But the fucking Kindle version on Amazon is expensive as the print version. It's like $13 for a fucking
Just
Kindle book.
Just buy the hardback then. Or not the hardback, like the hard copy.
I'm going to look around and see if like Barnes & Nobles or any place else, Kodo or whatnot.
So got it used on Amazon.
Yeah, so I really want to read this, but I'm trying to get away from...
I understand that.
I'm trying to get away from physical books as much as possible because I'm living a minimalist lifestyle and books take up most of my stuff other than board games. So I would really like to have the digital version of this. I just don't want to pay $13 fucking for it, for a standalone book. Anyway, but it sounds amazing. I really, really, really want to read this. It crops up on tons of best of lists. So I'm going to get it. If I have to bite the bullet and pay $13 for it, so be it. But Paladin of Souls, by comparison, $4.99. Curse of Chalion, $3.99.
Oh, it's one of those that jumps up $1 for each subsequent
Actually,
book.
what I found most of them that do that, it starts at $2.99, then goes to like $5.99, and then goes to $7.99.
Fuck that.
Which, I don't know, it all evens out.
Yes.
But they get you hooked, man. Oh, they'll get you hooked.
I take that back. Don't
I'm
curse
okay.
about that. It's a good plan, and it's the kind of thing that.
It makes sense. Try the first book. Make sure you like it before.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. But yeah.
Because the only thing that bothers me about that is if they did that for like Lies of Lockwood. The first book way better than the next two.
Yeah.
Way better.
If I'm trying to read a bunch of standalone right now, so
every book I read is a standalone. Because I'm like, I'm gonna read this, and there's books after it. Well, I don't really feel like reading that next.
Yeah.
I've got other stuff to do. So moving on, I'll come back to it.
So what's your 3?
My third is To Have and Have Not by Ernest Hemingway. Now, I bought this about a year ago because I wanted to read some.
He's holding it in his hand as we speak.
I wanted to read some non-fantasy literature.
Yeah.
And I've never read any Hemingway other than like short stories. So
you should read The Old Man and the Sea.
Read it.
Okay. I really, really like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I have some Hemingway that should be on my TBR.
What is the white elephant? Something hills. There's a Hemingway.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up. That's what I'm reading next. So.
Okay. I put Italian Revenant on here by Michael A. Stackpole because I am definitely about to read it.
Well, that's cheating. No, I demand a different one. Because of course you're reading Italian, Bob. We have to do it for the read-along. That doesn't count.
Well, I was trying to use that to subtly pitch, like, hey, everyone, we're doing a read-along on May 1st.
Well, cool. Do that, and then give me a real third one, you cheater.
A real third one?
Yeah.
Handmaid's Tale.
Really?
Yeah, I've already got it bought. I just need to read it.
Interestingly enough,
and I got the Audible of it, too.
I was listening to a podcast, and they mentioned Margaret Atwood. So
We're
talking about feminism.
We're trendsetters.
Yeah. We're kind of a big deal.
Yeah. So that's my third. So so we got some stuff that we're going to be reading. I'm not saying any of these are going to get read next, but they'll be. I would say all 3 of these will be in the next 10 books I read.
Hills Like White Elephants.
Oh,
that's the one I know. Okay, that was going to bother me. Sorry, that's the Hemingway that I know.
Anything you want to add on that? On your TBR?
I'm looking forward to reading all of these books. I actually have a longer list of all the books that I have that I want to read written down in this little book that I'm doing all my blog posts in. I've checked off about 5 of them so far in the past 2 months. So that's
moving right along.
Yeah.
I need to really sit down and actually write up a TBR instead of just kind of thinking about it in my head.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. This week's episode is brought to you, in our mind, by the Inn of the Prancing Pony. Proprietor Barliman Butterbur invites you to come down and try their regionally famous craft brews, small batches of which are occasionally enchanted by the Grey Wizard himself. The original home of pipeweed, make sure to try their selection of fine leaves to smoke as well. Make sure to tip your server, Knob, and your valet, Bob. Hobbits welcome. If you would like to be an actual sponsor, get at me. Booksbreedsbooze at gmail.com. So now we get to dive into our short story Tall Glass, which this week is 0 Meter Diving Team, which if you haven't read, go read now. We have the link on our blog. And
come back.
And then come back. And we'll be discussing it. So first off, we like to start out with the history. This story is written by Jim Shepard. He's a novelist and short story writer who teaches creative writing and film at Williams College, which is in Massachusetts. He was born in Connecticut. Quick aside. I know, because as all kids, you have to do the 50 state test, with all the capitals and whatnot. I don't know that I've ever spelled Connecticut as an adult.
It's a tough one. It's
spelled weird. It's spelled Connecticut.
Yeah.
Connecticut. It's not spelled like it sounds. It's spelled weird. Connecticut. Connecticut. That's dumb. Anyway, he got degrees from Trinity College and Brown University. He's married to novelist Karen Shepard. I don't know what she wrote, because she didn't have her own Wikipedia page. His stuff has been published in Harper's, Esquire, The New Yorker, Playboy, you name it, more or less.
Everywhere.
Yeah. His short story collection, Like You'd Understand Anyway, that's the name of it, Like You'd Understand Anyway, of which this is in, was nominated for a National Book Award in 2007. Here's a quote. Several features characterize Shepard's writings, including a tendency to finish his stories with what Charles Baxter called an in media res ending, or an ending in the middle of the plot's events. A thematic focus on what Shepard calls the costs of a certain kind of ethical passivity, and a preference for events-driven plots that fight against what Shepard terms the tyranny of the epiphany, referencing the more psychological, less active plots popularized by short story writers such as James Joyce. Additionally, Shepard writes from the point of view of characters with a wide array of nationalities. He also is pretty famous for doing a ton of fucking research on his stories. So, I think it was said that for Like You'd Understand Anyway, it's 60 books is what it took to write these short stories. 60 books of research to do it. So yeah, that's a lot more research than I do for my typical short story. So that's Jim Shepard. He looks like a nice guy on his Wikipedia picture. So I'd take a class with him.
Would you though?
Yeah, I think I would. He seems to know what he's got going on. Derek, what's your fact? We like to each bring a fact to the table, tangentially related.
Mine is so tangentially related.
You have a tendency to have very tangentially.
No, this is not even. So,
is this wrestling related?
No.
Oh, okay. We're moving up.
Moving on up in the world. No, but this might see wrestling can be directly adjacent to a topic. This is adjacent to a topic that is adjacent.
Okay.
So
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, basically. The story, for those of you who hopefully have read it, takes place in Chernobyl. Which, after the meltdown, the whole area of wildlife and everything was extremely irradiated, and there's weird animal mutations and shit kind of happening.
Basically, Princess Mononoke back half.
Yeah.
God,
I love that movie.
So good, so good.
But
I think they're going to do a showing of it.
I'm excited.
So we should check it out.
Definitely.
They're going to do a showing at local theater.
But so in one of the stories, and I don't remember where I read it, but I read a story about somebody running into an irradiated hog or something like that.
Yeah.
Which made me then tangentially think about the hog population in Texas. And my fact is, did you know there are so many wild hogs in Texas that they have to fly around in helicopters mowing them down with machine guns?
I'm not surprised. I've actually gone hog hunting.
Yeah.
They're actually a pretty bad problem in Alabama, too.
Yeah,
they're a problem all across the South.
Apparently they're even worse in Texas.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Point.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything.
But it only takes 3 weeks for a hog to go feral.
Yeah.
Like, once it escapes from the hog farm, it grows hair.
Yeah.
It won't have the tusks, but its offspring will have the tusks.
So weird.
Yeah, right? Science.
Yeah. That was my. I knew this, and I literally just heard this again yesterday.
I'm not a hunter at all. Like, I did hunting a little bit in like high school. It's
hunting the way people hunt down here does not seem fun. Hunting the way I've seen other people hunt looks way more interesting.
It's one of those deals like, young guy in the South. Like, it's kind of a rite of passage for a lot of folks that you go hunting. And I did it. I killed a deer the first day I ever went hunting, and then I spent the rest of my season reading Watership Down. No lie. Like, I would sit there in the dark until it was light enough to read, and then I'd just get my book out of my pocket and read it. I already killed my deer. Done. It's cold. I don't like the cold. It's getting up early. I don't like getting up early. Fuck hunting. But I always really just have had this weird obsession with I've always wanted like a necklace of like boar tusks that I had killed.
Yeah.
So I went boar hunting a couple times because there was a local boar problem and a guy was like, hey, I'm just looking for people to come hunt.
I think it's really cool to go hunting purely for the getting your meat for the year kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which I think that's awesome. And if it wasn't like the only time I've talked to people about hunting around here, it's like they go somewhere and sit.
Yeah.
Like if you actually go out and hunt, like go track things, wandering through the open place, and then like tracking something down and killing it, that's super cool and sounds interesting and exciting and difficult.
Yeah.
But like just sitting in a stand doesn't really do it for me.
Yeah. My fact is about the name Chernobyl. Chernobyl is a Ukrainian word for mugwort, specifically Artemisia vulgaris. It's used medicinally in Chinese, Japanese, and Korean traditional medicine, and in modern medicine, it is used for its anti-herpetic effect. It is also commonly used to flavor food. It's bitter tasting, and it has been used to flavor beer before the introduction of hops. Roman soldiers put mugwort in their sandals to protect their feet against fatigue. And in this one guy's book, Modern Herbal, which was written in 1931, he states that in the Middle Ages, the plant was known as Latin, it being believed that John the Baptist wore a girdle of it in the wilderness. A crown made from its sprays was worn on St. John's Eve to gain security from evil possession. And in Holland and Germany, one of its names is St. John's plant because of the belief that if gathered on St. John's Eve, it gave protection against diseases and misfortunes. So that didn't work for Chernobyl.
Not so much.
Not so much. So yeah, let's dive in on the story. I liked it. It's a downer.
Didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
Did not like it.
What did you not like about it?
I liked that it was historical.
Yeah.
I liked
I don't know a ton about the intimate details of the Chernobyl event, but knowing how this guy does his research, like I feel like everything was pretty accurate.
But it just didn't work for me. There was no. I mean, I couldn't. With the exception of guilt, I couldn't find any themes that I really felt tied everything together. I didn't really understand the relationship between the family. Like they showed like one or two scenes. The discussion, like the conversations that the dad and the narrator had, didn't make any sense to me. Like it seemed like it was saying very little in the expectation that you're going to read between the lines and figure out kind of their relationship, and I didn't understand any of it. So I was just like, I don't like this. I don't get it. I'm not picking anything up out of this. I'm not finding anything. It's not working for me.
Okay.
But the idea, like just the story of reading, like from a historical standpoint, that was super interesting. Like if this was just in a textbook and like this is the fucking nonsense that happened in Chernobyl when this happened.
Yeah.
That I found interesting. But as a story, I didn't.
Yeah, I'm a big history buff, so I really liked the historical aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I really enjoyed like seeing them as kids and how that was mirrored as them as adults. Like the kind of like the parallels of like how they were as kids and how they grew up to be very similar, you know?
Yeah.
And just how they each kind of sort of brought on their own ruin in different ways, you know? Like...
Well, how did Mikhail bring his own ruin?
The oldest brother?
No, the middle brother.
No, the middle brother? Because he... Alright. Younger brother brought his ruin on just by being... I don't want to say useless, but like he set such low expectations. Like everyone had such low expectations for him that he set them for himself, and he wound up, you know, just he's working construction, but he's up at midnight fishing. You know, so clearly he's not really going to work, things like that. So like him being this slovenly slug a bed kind of guy ends up bringing his own kind of ruin on, which actually arguably he comes out the best of all of them because he gets
because like really how's his life change? He just keeps doing nothing.
Yeah, but in a way it's like the saddest of it, kind of like I don't know, just it's kind of sad. Like it just like he's been told he's shit for so long, like he's the but then like the oldest brother, you know, he can't live with the guilt, really. Like he's so racked with the guilt.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me.
And it seems
because
like
he could have done something, or at least tried harder.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of like my take on like the conversations with the dad was he has ruined his relationship with his dad. Like
their relationship was shit with their dad the whole time.
Well, but my thing like I think like he was clearly the favored son.
Yeah.
And so, you know, clearly the dad uses influence, yada, yada, yada. And I'm not saying that his relationship with his dad was ever great, but just my read on it was what little bit he had with his dad, he kind of ruined. Like his dad, like, was never the friendliest kind of guy, although he had his quirks, his weird things, you know. He was never the friendliest guy, but then he, at later parts of the story, like he just clearly just doesn't have a fuck to give about his son at that point. Like his son, his son has kind of betrayed him, I think, in his eyes, kind of deal. And I could be reading too much into it.
No, I mean, when you say that, okay, but okay. But the question was, what about the middle? How did the middle brother bring along his own destruction? Because as far as I can tell, he was just there working, doing his job. He complained like he was supposed to, and no one listened.
Yeah.
He tried to fix the things and didn't work.
Yeah.
He just kind of got fucked.
He did.
I don't know. Maybe what I could see in this is just a condemnation of.
It's hardcore condemnation.
Oh no, yeah, it is. But I mean, like looking at the three brothers makes sense because it's like the layabout brother that doesn't do anything keeps getting not to do anything. The brother that has position and security doesn't do anything and stays alive. The one brother that was actually working and actually trying to get shit done and actually trying to make things better gets fucked.
Yeah. No, I hadn't actually really considered that.
Yeah. See, now I like this book, this story a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because I see that.
I want to say when I was thinking about this, because like I said, my favorite line was, because the Pershinskis have always made their own luck. When I read, because I'd read the story before, this is like my third time reading it. When I read that, something clicked about the middle brother, like kind of how he made his own luck. There was something about it, like now I can't.
But see, I think it's the exact opposite. As soon as you said that, I was like, oh, okay. But it's not. The other two made their own luck. The other two.
Well, no, they all made their own luck. Just luck can be good luck or bad luck.
Well, no, they all made their own luck.
Yeah, that's how I read it, because like it doesn't have to be good luck. They just made their own luck.
My thing is, the way I look at it is, they all made luck. They didn't make their own luck because all of them together made luck, and then they spread it evenly about all of them, and the middle brother got screwed.
Yeah,
even though he was the only one making the luck.
Yeah,
because he was actually doing shit.
Yeah. It's not a happy tale.
No, it was frustrating.
I did like it though.
It didn't grab me. Like, I like that I've picked up on, like, now that I'm thinking more about it, that theme right there. Like, that makes it more interesting to me, but it's still just, it was okay, but, because there was a lot of, you know what it is there was a lot of things there that I didn't understand what they were there for. And if you have a scene, any scene, I feel like it should be there for a purpose, and I could not find the purpose.
Yeah. Can you think of one off the top of your head? Or?
With the except, like, why did they have the name of the short story? It's like they added
0 meter diving team.
Yeah. It's like they had that scene just so that they could call it that. Like, there was no... Other than to be like, oh, well, their dad was kind of weird.
Well, I think, to me, the thing about it is, like, part of that was... That's the only picture of the 3 kids together. You know, like that. And the 2 younger ones are crying in it. The oldest one is kind of holding it together. And, I don't know. I know lit major.
I did read it while I was at work.
Yeah. I know some bitch in lit major. But it, I don't know. I liked it. I thought that that kind of served to set a tone and kind of show a little bit of the relation, because it talks about like how he's like, oh, the middle brother's like, oh, are you scared? And it's like, no, I'm not, but he was kind of kind of starting to show like their relationship, like how.
Well, things like the explanation of them getting beat. Like, what was that about? Like, I don't understand. Like, whether they would get.
Oh, because it's
3 and then 2 and then he would hit the other one and then...
No. It was... The dad gave the oldest son 4.
Uh-huh.
He would give the next son 3, but the oldest son would have to...
the
fourth.
Yeah.
And it's to show that, like, either the low man, all he does is take. He doesn't get to give. So it's like... It's showing the hierarchies. Like, you don't want to be the low man. If you're higher up, you have to take some shit, but at least you get to give some to the man below you.
Okay,
that's what that's about.
Because then he actually specifically said that the last hit was always a lot harder.
Because like they put everything they could into it. Because like, well, god damn it, if I only get to give one to the one below me, I'm gonna make it count. So.
Yeah.
It was good. I liked it.
I'm liking it more than what we talked about.
Yeah, I would say, though, of what we've read, it's my least favorite.
Yeah.
But it is good. I enjoyed it. I would like to read more by him. Except, having read where he's like, he likes to end stories in media res, I don't like that. I don't typically like that, but I'd like to see what he's got going on. I would like to check out this series, the one that got the book award nomination.
Yeah.
Which we will provide a link to that if you want to pick up a copy.
We're fixing to move into the short stories that I picked, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, we are. Starting next week, it's all the next 3 weeks will be stories that Derek picked. So, all right, let's. In fact, while we're talking about that, next week it's The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. So, there's your little reward for listening to the podcast. You can get it a few days early. You can go read it. Otherwise, the link will be up on Monday.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's dive into our book battle. This week we decided, what is the best type of fantasy?
This is going to be a little awkward because I'm going to slaughter Bob's opinion, and it's just going to be awkward afterwards. Then we're going to have to sit here and record another bonus podcast, and it's just going to... I'm not going to be able to look him in the eye.
Yeah. What's your answer?
Oh, no, you go first. And then I'll tell you the right answer.
All right, my favorite, not the best, but my favorite is Fantasy of Manners. But the best is Grimdark. Grimdark is the best type of fantasy.
And why is that, Bob?
Because I say that for the same reason that I like the comics that I like. I don't like superhero comics because the risks aren't really there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the superhero, even if they die, the next guy who writes it is going to bring him back. Like
Might decide to bring him back.
Almost virtually always.
Yeah,
like,
but they don't bring him back that quickly. Like, it's not like there's no...
But still, like, you just know, though. It's like, oh, well, Captain America. The Marvel almost had me in. Civil War was great. Captain America died. I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, no, he's dead. He is dead. He is dead. This is set in stone. He is dead. And then, like, 4 years later, they brought him back. It's like...
Dude, it wasn't even 4 years. I don't think.
So stupid. Like, I hate that. And to me, like...
You know who the one person they left dead was? Fucking Jean Grey. They left her dead for... original storyline Jean Grey, I think, is still dead.
Yeah.
But they've had this time thing where the original First Class was brought back to a current day. And so there's... I don't know if it was still a thing, but like there was two different Cyclopses and shit like that. So that was cool. And then there was a new Jean Grey. It's like, oh look, a Jean Grey's back.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Wolverine died. Like they killed him off for a year or two, but he's not back now.
Right, and that's like that's why I don't like superhero comics by and large. The ones I do like are the ones like Irredeemable, stuff like that, because there's real risk.
Out of curiosity,
yes.
Did you read the Fallen Sun books?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you should. No. I'm gonna buy the trade of that. Basically, it's after the death of Captain America. It's a mini-series.
Bucky taking over?
No, it's just a mini-series about everybody's reaction to it.
Oh, okay.
Like
I think I may have actually read that.
Like one where I think it's Spider-Man goes to like a poker game with like Wolverine and Thing and stuff like that, and everybody's just kind of sitting there super fucking depressed and talking just.
They shouldn't have been, because they should have just known that in a year he'll be back.
Shut up. Okay, Grimdark. Anyways.
But that's why I like Grimdark.
Yeah.
Like, do people die in high fantasy? Yes, they do. So it's not as bad as superhero. But by and large, there are certain characters that you just know, like, they're more or less untouchable. In Grimdark, for the most part, no one's untouchable, and I like that. That's why I enjoy it the most. It's realistic. Like all fantasy is more or less somewhat equally realistic. You know, they exist under their own rules, but it to me it seems the most real in the danger. You know, and it makes it harder to forecast what's going to happen, because in high fantasy, you know, like that this guy is going, like, he's the main character, he's going to live through all the books. You know, bad things might happen to him, but you know there's no risk of him dying. In Grimdark, especially ones that follow multiple viewpoint characters, a viewpoint character can just fucking die. And then that changes the course of everything. Like, oh, he's dead. We're not going to read him anymore. You know? And that's why, to me, it's the best.
Okay, so here's why you're wrong.
Okay.
So... the correct answer is epic fantasy is the best fantasy. The reason it's the best...
I do like epic fantasy.
The reason it's the best fantasy is because it is the most fantasy. Because fantasy, the things that make fantasy as a genre stand out is the fact that it relies on its world building and its plotting more than anything else. Epic fantasy goes hard in the paint in those two areas more than anything else. So it is the top 1% of the genre, period. Like, it is just, it's the most, like, concentrated essence of what the genre is supposed to be.
Here's my counter argument. Heroin. Heroin, you know, if
done in small doses is great, like epic fantasy.
No, if it's too pure, it'll just, you know, it's bad. You know, like if it's like too strong of a shot, it's bad. You know, like I'm not a heroin guy, so I don't know the exact terminology here. But like, if you've been taking heroin for a while, and then someone gives you like straight up heroin, like non-cut, non-diluted heroin, you will die. And like sometimes you can have too much of a good thing. And my problem with epic fantasy is the same problem I have with any anime that runs over 26 episodes.
Bob?
It doesn't take... Like, honest to God, Wheel of Time, that story did not... It was what? Ended up being 14 books?
Yeah.
You
Be
could have
very careful what you're about to say.
You could have told that in 10 books.
In 10 books, fair.
I
think you could have done that.
You could have told that in 10 books easily.
You know why? Here's the thing, though. The only reason he didn't is because he was super sick. So he wasn't working with his full...
And that's my thing. Most epic fantasy, though, it's similar to anime. Like anime that, in my opinion, runs long. It's like, okay, well, yes, you can have this, 40 episode anime or 50 episode anime, 60 episode, but does it really need that? Like, do we need another scene of people walking from point A to point B?
Here's the thing. First of all, you need to watch more anime if that's what you think those episodes are.
That was very hyperbolic example, but
I don't think this argument tracks because so you know what, I'm right.
No, because here's my thing. Grimdark can very much have the intense in-depth world building. It can. Like, I'm thinking like oh god, Joe Abercrombie. There's some really good world building there. You didn't really get into it in the first book. Well, you only read the first book, but in especially the second book of Broken Empire, a lot of really good world building there. I don't know. And actually, this fantasy manners book I just read, Cursive Chalian, amazing world building, amazing.
Might have good world building, doesn't have the same amount.
But more does not equal best. Like, you can sit there and give me 30 pages describing the food of a country, does not make it inherently better than someone who just uses talk of the food to add accent and make it better. Like, in Curse of Chalian, they could have gone more. Yes, they could have gone intensely in depth on every religious order, but at that point, it's just words for the sake of words. It doesn't add anything to the story.
Yes, it is in that situation, but in epic fantasy, it's not. It's there for a reason, which is the second point I was going to make. Were you going to let me actually get to that point? Which is the in-depth, the further, the more story, the longer. Look, it is length in a lot of part is what makes, but it has a lot more going on than in those books. There's a lot more weaving of storyline, plot, and the world building is the two pillars that fantasy sits on. So like one of them accentuated and the other one not. You can do that and everything, but what makes epic fantasy is the fact that you do both to the nth. So you have more story, and it's all relevant. Is the point? So it's not like you're wasting time.
It's not all relevant, though, is my thing. Like, so much of that, you just don't need. You just don't. Like, look at it this way. Like, arguably the biggest fantasy franchise out there right now in the world is Grimdark. And you can't tell me that it does not have elaborate world building and incredibly in-depth intricate
plotting.
plotting.
Call that Grimdark, though. I just call
George R. R. Martin?
No, it's epic.
No, that is Grimdark to the extreme, dude. It is the quintessential Grimdark, man. Everyone, like, no one's safe. Everyone dies. There's literally no one in there.
Okay, what's your definition of Grimdark? Just that people can die and actually stay dead?
There's a gritty realness to it. It's gritty. It's not... it does frequently tend to lower magic. Magic is oftentimes not super played up. Think Broken Empire. Black Company does have some magic with the main people doing it, or it's low-level magic. But it's just very gritty, real. Like, to a degree, you're left guessing more than in
Haha, which, if we're going by the Godfather of fantasy, is contradictory to what fantasy is supposed to be.
Who? Are you talking about?
Tolkien.
Yeah. I don't think you're allowed to quote Tolkien if you haven't read Tolkien.
I'm allowed to do it because I wrote an article on his opinions on fantasy.
Yeah.
So I've done the research.
Yeah, but it's also like, it's... What he viewed it, he was just the first person. Like, that'd be like saying, like, well, I'm just going to go by what the first guy to look at the stars said when look at how far astronomy has come. Like, fantasy has definitely changed over the years. Because, like, when he came in, like, he was fantasy. Like, if you asked what fantasy was, oh, it's Lord of the Rings. Like, that's fantasy. Now, if you go to Wikipedia and look up fantasy, there's, like, 30 subgenres of it. Like, there's just tons. I mean, there's just all the different things out there.
Okay, but I'm still going to disagree because the three aspects that are the basically the things that depict or decide what is fantasy. Like the fact that things are gritty and people have that's not a part of what fantasy is.
It is in Grimdark, though. I mean, that's what makes Grimdark Grimdark. You can't just be like, well, only these three things determine what fantasy is.
No, but it is what...
Are those three things represented in Grimdark?
Yeah.
So, if those three things are represented in all fantasy, you have to ignore those and talk about the other things, and that's what makes the differences between the genres. If all fantasy has these three things in common, don't talk about the three things they all have in common. Talk about their differences. And what makes Grimdark different is that gritty realism, the ever-present danger. Like, your main character might die. It's a real chance.
I mean, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Like,
no, it does. But I'm just saying it's much more prevalent in Grimdark. Like, I mean, look at A Song of Ice and Fire, man. Like, fucking everyone dies.
Yeah.
You know, like, the surest way for someone to die is for you to actually start to like them. And, like, so, like, if that had been epic fantasy, Robb Stark would never have died.
I disagree. Because he wasn't the main character. Jon Snow's the main character. He died and came back to life. That's the whole thing. People keep saying that shit's grimdark. It's not. It's epic. And the reason it's epic is because
it's definitely
It
grimdark.
is not. It's a deconstruction of fantasy in general. Because the entire time it's been a misdirect time.
We will can of worms that. We will that's a bonus podcast over whether or not Song of Ice and Fire is grimdark. I'm telling you it's grimdark.
Yeah, well, now they're going to hear this and they're not going to know the real reason that it's not. Whatever.
Look, grimdark's the best.
It's not.
Just acknowledge it.
Cool. Like, people can die. That's awesome.
I say it's the best for the same reason that I like basically every other comics more than superhero comics. Like, if you look at my bookshelf of what I read, I don't read superhero. While it can have a good plot, it can have a good thing, like, it's just when the good guys win at the end, it doesn't feel as rewarding to me because you knew that was inevitable.
Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think that should count because you're saying that I like these type of comics because of that reason. The definition of comics does not play into that. Comics are just like panels, art, and story told visually.
Yeah.
That's what the medium is.
Right. I can like steak for the same reason I like pork chops. They're two different things, but I can still like them for the same reason. I mean, just because comics is a different medium. Like earlier, like when in the previous episode, when we were like, "Who's the best anti-hero?" You said John Wick. John Wick is movies are a very different medium than books. John Wick is still an anti-hero. Like, I can still like John Wick as an anti-hero for the same reasons that I like Count Iago or Raven as an anti-hero in a book. Very different mediums. I can still like them for the same reasons.
Yeah, but here's the difference. You like them for the same reasons, That's cool, but that doesn't answer the question as to what's the best, and here's why. If you were to say, I like... what was the example of meats you just gave me?
Pork chops and steaks.
If you were to say, I like steaks because... I don't know. When we were originally talking, I had a reason. And
I say it's the best... I like epic fantasy. Don't get me wrong. I've read more epic fantasy than you have.
I like grimdark.
I have read a ton of epic fantasy. Mm-hmm. I've read a ton of most fantasy genres. I would safe bet I've probably read at least one example of 90% of the genres out there. To me, grimdark. Similar analogy. I love Law and Order. Law and Order. Great show. Love it. I spent all my time trying to figure out who did it. When House came out, I was hooked on House.
Yeah.
Absolutely hooked. And the reason why is because I could sit there and kind of enjoy it because I couldn't solve the crime.
Yeah.
So to speak. So, that may actually be a reverse analogy. I've kind of lost my thing. But, Law and Order is what I always go back to. That's what I watch the most of. Of any other than True Detective or Letterkenny. But, I don't know, it's just, I've kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, we've had a lot to drink today. But, I don't know, all things being equal, all fantasy has the same pillars, they're all built on the same foundation. At the end of the day, I feel the payoff is most rewarding to me.
And that's why we're coming at this from two different directions, which is why I always like us to be more specific with the question. Because if it's favorite, I can have mine.
No, I already said what my... No, I still say that...
I know, that's what you said, but Derek, the answer was this.
No, Derek, I already said what my favorite was. Grimdark's not my favorite.
Well,
Grimdark's not my favorite.
Okay, well then...
Fantasy of Manners is my favorite. Grimdark is the best. I love Grimdark, and I think it's the best for this reason. I do. That's why I think it's the best. I enjoy reading Fantasy of Manners. If there was more of it out there, oh God, I would die happy man. But I think Grimdark is the best overall. Fantasy of Manners has more stuff that appeals to me.
Here's where this is why I think that you're wrong. You're saying favorite, I'm saying best.
No, I'm saying best.
No, I know, no. Bear with me. You're saying best as well, and then making the argument for favorite. Because you're saying, I like. So, the point is, where we have the conversation about Patrick Rothfuss.
No. I see. Okay, let me rephrase it, okay? What I see in Grimdark that I think makes it the best type of fantasy is that you get more risk-reward from it than any other type of fantasy out there. With every other fantasy, for the most part, there are exceptions. You you just know this person's going to live. There is less payoff when that person succeeds. In Grimdark, when a person succeeds, there is more payoff. There's more reward from it because there is more risk. More risk, typically, not always, typically equals more reward. I think all fantasy pillars being equal, Grimdark is the best because there is more reward. And that's why I think it's the best.
And in my opinion, all of those pillars being equal, they're not equal because Epic goes much more into...
No, everything starts on the same base.
Okay, well
then... Epic just takes the three pillars and is like, well, I'm just going to amp them to 11.
Yeah.
Grimdark, sometimes it amps it to 11. You look at A Song of Ice and Fire, you can't tell me that it doesn't amp the plotting and the world building to 11.
That's why we can't talk about that when you talk.
You can have something, it can take those elements and amp them up and still be Grimdark. That's what I'm saying. It's super plotty, super world building. But it's Grimdark, man. It is. It's Grimdark. It is. Like the later books of Broken Empire does a ton of world building, and the plotting. Like I keep telling you, like if you read it to the end, like the payoff, like when you look back, you realize what a wildly intricate plot was actually going on. Like the payoff is fucking huge, and that's Grimdark. I mean, you're saying that epic fantasy is the best because it takes the 3 things that everyone has and just amps it to 11. Grimdark can do that and bring more to the table.
It can, but
it frequently does.
Mm-mm.
How much? What Grimdark have you read, Derek? I mean, what you've read? You've read Black Company, which is admittedly a little light on a lot of stuff.
Okay, but I'm sorry, but if you're going to try and tell me
First Law,
okay,
great world building.
Are you seriously going to tell me that there's as much world building in that as in?
But we already established that more does not necessarily
no,
equal
but
better.
It's more and better because more does not equal better except for when it is better.
So they do better world building. Does not make it overall better. This book can have a better plot. Like, all right, common complaint about Rothfuss is his character is like reading on Reddit. A lot of people really complain about his characterization,
which is dumb
at times,
and
that there are some gaping plot holes.
That's a better argument.
All right. So there are books out there that do plotting much better than Rothfuss.
Yeah, that's his weakest point.
Okay. Doesn't make them better. Just because epic fantasy does a better job of world building does not make it better. Like, after a certain point, it's diminishing returns. Like we already established, Wheel of Time could have been 10 books. You know, like they could have cut. They did an excess of world building.
They didn't. They didn't do an excess of world building. They had too many characters. That was the problem. They had too many characters doing too many things and didn't expedite some of the process. It has nothing to do with the world building. It had to do with how many fucking plots there were.
Okay. So plotting was the problem.
No, the plotting wasn't the problem. The pacing was the problem. And the pacing was a problem
because you just said that there were too many characters with too many plots. So that's a
and
plot
then I
problem.
continued the sentence that said afterwards, it's because he was taking too long to do them because there was too much time, which is pacing.
Okay. All right. Okay. There was no plot that could have been removed from Wheel of Time.
Not that I can think of right off.
Not a single plot. Every plot was absolutely essential. There's no way he could have cut one plot line and told that a slightly different way somewhere else.
Okay.
In that entire 14 books.
That's not the point. The point is how long the plots took to get going. If you want to say there's scenes that could have been taken out, sure, and still get to the same place, sure. But that's the problem, which is pacing.
Okay.
Which is the problem. If you want to get it right, it's pacing that's the problem, not plotting.
Okay. All right. But my point is, just because Wheel of Time does world building slightly better than First Law doesn't make epic the best. Just because epic fantasy typically does more world building doesn't make it better. It's just doing what everyone else is doing, but more so.
Okay, well then the fact that there can be real repercussions in Grimdark doesn't make it better.
No, but that's my argument. You're saying that epic fantasy is the best because they do what everyone else is doing, but they just do more of it. I'm saying Grimdark can do more of it. It frequently does, but it also brings something else to the table. It brings a payoff that epic fantasy doesn't have, and that's why it's the best.
I disagree because it has a different type of payoff, because there's a different level of payoff when you take into consideration how much different plotting.
But what happens when you have Grimdark that does what epic fantasy does?
Well, that's...
That's what I'm telling you. There is Grimdark out there that does the epic fantasy level plotting and does the epic fantasy level world building, but it brings more to it. That's my point. It's like if A Song of Ice and Fire, just argument of whether it's Grimdark or not aside, let's just roll with me for a moment and say that it is Grimdark. Let's just say it's Grimdark. I think it is. You disagree. But if it was Grimdark, it does everything that fantasy does, epic fantasy, but it brings the Grimdark element, which adds more of a risk-reward payoff. And that's why I say that grimdark is the best.
I don't know enough about that world.
I know a ton. And that's my thing, is like, you've read Broken Empire 1 and some of the Black Company books, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you read any other grimdark?
Yeah, I've read some Abercrombie.
Okay.
And I've read, let's see.
Like, I really think read more grimdark and you'll see what I'm saying. Like, you read the Mark Lawrence books, which has the least amount of world building and plotting. And the Black Company, which is, it kind of sort of started things, but it's a little
challenge
light
accepted.
on that stuff.
Give me the best grimdark and I will read it. And I we're not counting Game of Thrones, because I still have a debate that I want to make about that, which I still probably leans closer to grimdark, but also you haven't read it, so it doesn't count.
I read the first 2 books.
Doesn't count.
Okay. I've read the first 2 books, and I've like read the wikis on it. I've kept up with it. I know it happens. Like, it's one of those deals that I've wikied it and read up on it.
Okay, best grimdark that hypothetically does all these things that you keep telling me it can do.
Well, the closest analogy is going to be to epic is probably going to be A Song of Ice and Fire.
Okay, well, that's the top 1%. What else?
I would argue read the next 2 Mark Lawrence.
Done.
Or
is that, if I read those and then still say that that's nowhere near the same plotting or world building, that it doesn't matter, because you're saying, because the argument you're giving me is that it can do the same things that epic fantasy does and then add a thing.
Yes.
So if it doesn't do the same things that epic fantasy does but adds the thing, that doesn't make it better than epic fantasy, because it's not. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
And the reason I'm asking is,
but also it's like the 3 books of Mark Lawrence is not a fair comparison to 14 books of this or 10 books of that or 12 books of that.
Okay.
Like, if you're like, well,
3 books. Let's see, 3 books.
Like, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I have not read any grimdark longer than a trilogy other than the Black Company, and I've read the first 2 books of A Song of Ice and Fire.
It's because they all die. That means it's not as good. I win.
But so my thing is, like, I'm struggling to come up with there may be a grimdark series that runs longer. I haven't read it, so I don't, off the top of my head, I can't come up with, other than A Song of Ice and Fire, I can't tell you a comparable, like a 1-to-1 comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's my problem.
That sounds like another point in the epic fantasy genres, that the series go longer, and I get to read my favorite characters longer.
Because they
live.
You know they're going to live.
I'm okay with that.
So, but yeah, moral of the story is I'm
right, and you're wrong.
And we went like 20 minutes over. But if we were ever going to get comments on something, this would be the episode I want comments. Granted, we're at 4 in, but I would fucking love to get y'all's comments on our argument here. Tell us what petulant children we are.
I'm just salty because I drank more than I thought I had, and I kept coming up with things that I wanted to say. And
we both drank a lot.
And then by the time you finished the sentence, I was like, "Shit, what was I going to say?"
I do want later on Can of Worms bonus episode on the. We could Can of Worms this whole thing, really, because we didn't really do our research on this. Like, now that we know each other's answers, we can go and prepare. We can come back loaded for bear. But yeah, all right. So as we said, this is from the past. Y'all are in the future. There's no viewer mail because next week hasn't happened, so we can't see your mail. But we really hope that you email us at booksbeardsbooze@gmail.com and tell us what you think. Or comment on our blog, podcast, wherever you find us. Comment. You have a prompt for us, Derek?
Oh, before I say that.
Oh, yes.
I really like that we're doing this and you're going to be gone next week, so that I have a week to get out of the country after I kill you when we turn this off.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, this is the right one. The prompt, write a story about a night out. Write a story about a night out.
Tell Derek how he is so wrong. That's
Give them a thing they can do, like a real thing.
You said about a night out?
Yeah. The reason I say that was
I've written a few stories about my nights out.
Well, that was my whole thing. Is since I didn't actually pair it up for the story. I paired it up for us going out and drinking.
Yeah, because we did. We see how that turned out. All right. Like I said, contact us. We love you. We're going to end with go forth and grow a great beard.
Magnificent beard.